Welcome to Strength-Based Marketing. I'm Pat Dewar. I wonder if you've ever met that person that you go, if I'm trying to get to that person over there and get an introduction. I want an introduction. Who do you call, right? Well, master networkers are hard to find. People that really are connectors, I call them hubs. They're the ones that can seem to have connections to just about anybody that you might want to know. Matt Holmes is that guy. I found him, and I'm amazed. His nickname, he's a world record holder, is Matt Handshake Holmes, because he actually holds the world record for the longest handshake in the world. And so I'm so glad to have you on the show, Matt. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Flattered to be here. Thanks for having me.
I love to meet networkers and when I say networkers, some people get a wrong concept, but people that are connectors. You're always meeting people. You're always building relationships. You're building rapport and influence with the people that you meet. And that is such an incredible gift that is so powerful in building businesses, in building relationships. And so I'm curious, what's your story, Matt? How'd you get to where you're at?
Sure. So the quick story is, finished up college in Denver, Colorado, studied psychology. I was always interested in relationships even back then, but I really got sucked into the business world and went back, got my master's, borrowed a ton of student loans. Haven't quite paid those off yet, but started a real estate company. And that's where I started kind of on the side of buying assets, improving them, selling them. But I got pretty tired of the real estate space, and I didn't really know what was next. I had luckily built up some nice equity in the properties that we were flipping or buying and holding. We did single family homes with out-of-state investors, and we'd rent these homes room by room to roommates. So we'd have individual leases within a house, and that was kind of our little niche. And it worked great, but it didn't really satisfy me. Once I realized it was a profitable business and here's the work involved with it, I wanted out. And one of the things I did right before getting out was I ran off to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and I had a 6-month special projects internship with Congressman Pierce, who was a congressman in New Mexico. And I couldn't believe Capitol Hill. You could see Paul Ryan, you could see all these politicians just walking around. And of course, I want a picture. If I see you, I'm very outgoing. Hey, I've been following your Twitter. I saw what was going on. Can we just take a quick picture? And I thought that if you shook hands with someone, it makes it look like you're just a little bit closer. And so I took all these pictures with handshakes with politicians, and that naturally evolved into my friends calling me Handshakin Holmes. And I knew at that point that I wanted to do something related to connecting people and investing in long-term relationships. The handshake is not about handing out your business card at a networking event. It's about building a relationship and providing value to someone before asking for a sale, before doing any of that stuff. You provide value to someone else and you're focused on that long-term. And that is what the handshake still means to me today, over 5 years later, after running the business that I named Handshakin.com.
So I know that you do a lot of things. You're a speaker and author. You do so many different aspects of business building. Have a heart, it looks like, from some of the things I've seen, a heart for people that are getting started building. In that realm, I just wonder, what are you doing to build your own business?
Sure. So Handshakin's definitely evolved through the over half a decade that I've been running this full time. When I got out of real estate, I sold off most of my equity, paid off my investors, and I had a nice small pile of cash to really figure out what was next. And I didn't know. I wanted to be online, and I wanted to be about connecting people. And So I did the typical online marketing route where you build a website for your buddy, or you help this person with Instagram, and really you're doing way too many things to be really good at one. So the business handshaking.com really took a shift when we stopped working with clients and decided we're going to build online assets that generate leads, and we're going to start selling the leads. You can't hire us to do services for you. We sell the result, and we only sell the result. So, about 2.5 years after working for clients, I had launched a website called Fort Collins Concrete Contractors, and I financed the whole thing. I didn't care about if the client wanted a blog post or a logo redesign, and the beautiful part was I owned that asset. So this website, it took it a few months, maybe even several months, but it started getting phone calls in Fort Collins of people needing concrete quotes. And then it started getting more, and I got a client to pay about 10 times more. Well, actually, it's not a client, is it? It's someone who's buying our leads. It's not a client who we service. So we found a concrete contractor to buy those leads for about 10 times more per month than what my average client was paying. So there was a point shortly after that where I fired all my clients and went all in on building lead generation websites and helping contractors and home service professionals shake hands with more local customers.
Nice. But if you've been able to replicate that in other industries, now when somebody comes to you and they say, I want leads, do you use one site to service several different people, or is it one site per one client?
Great question. So actually we own just shy of 100 lead generation websites today. And all of these websites are in different niches in different US cities. And my website, handshakin.com, is basically just, this is who we are. We've got the sales team calling a lot of contractors, a lot of cleaners, a lot of service providers that need leads. And they can check out our website to see we're the real deal. We've been around for a while. And yeah, so, we have almost 100 of these. And we've done a lot of different niches and cities and all kinds of different time zones.
I'm real curious about when somebody calls to get your leads, or wants to be a client where they receive leads, do you have any vetting process for that person? So you're not just selling leads to who knows who?
Yeah, well, let me back up a little bit, because actually, if someone comes to us, a lot of people do. They say, can you build us a lead generation website? And the answer from us is it's rarely yes. It's usually, well, what city are you in? What services do you provide? And oftentimes it's something that's not in our wheelhouse. And we actually don't want to build a website for someone else. I kind of like the fact that we own all of our websites, because that first website, if you remember Fort Collins Concrete Contractors, we actually got the revenue up on that site, and the revenue comes in every single month. And the cost of the website's pretty small because it's organic traffic. So what that means is I've built an asset. I'm not servicing a client, and it's not their website, it's mine. And I can sell these leads to whoever I want. And actually, I can only sell the leads to concrete contractors in Fort Collins. I actually can't help other concrete contractors with that website. So eventually we sold that website for a 19x multiple of the net profit it was making per month. And that opened up a new income stream for us, because now we have almost 100 websites. And we know that the first one sold for a 19x multiple. The second one, we tried to sell direct to the service provider, and we tried to finance it. That didn't work out. I think when we sell the websites, that's to investors rather than the actual service providers that buy the leads. So maybe that I'm making it too complicated bringing that into the picture. But does that make sense?
It does to me. It's funny, you're still using the same business model that you had when you got out of school.
That's exactly right. It's looking at the online world through a real estate lens.
It is. That's what I was like. Well, that's a twist. So, I look at that and I think, Matt, when someone is looking for, I guess I'm trying to figure out who is your client then? Is it,
We
the,
the
yeah,
answer to that question is, if we want to work with you, well, we already have results, and we'll contact you, and we'll just give you a customer that needs a quote. That's how the relationship starts. It's give first. We call up a carpet cleaner and we give them, hey, Johnny needs his 60 square foot, his 600 square foot condo clean before move out. Can you give him a call and give him a quote? We just connect them. And it's a beneficial connection for both of them. And that's because of our website. And then we say, hey, did you get in contact with Johnny? Would you like to receive more customers? We actually have phone calls, and we will send these phone calls direct to this cell phone that we called you on. Can we send you an estimate? And that's how it
nice.
works. So it's very rare for someone to reach out to us and happen to be a roofing company in Arlington, Virginia. You know,
Wow. It takes my introduction of you when I was seeing some of the other things and talking about a hub. You are the master connector. You're the guy
I don't know about
that
that.
when people want, but what's interesting is that you've reversed the model. Normally, if I wanted you to, if I wanted leads from you, you're like, no, Pat, are you in a niche that I serve? Does it make sense? And are you any good? And are you going to follow up and take care of the people I send you because I attract them, not you? Wow. How do I get into a niche that you're in? How do we find out what niches you serve?
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to be able to get out there and offer services to everyone. But at the end of the day, you always have one client that you are doing the best job for, and they're making the most money. And we've chosen to we'll pick what we do best, and later find that client and say, we've been working on this for you for 6 months, maybe a year. Just give the first customer a quote. It's going to be a great relationship for years, hopefully.
It's so funny because usually I love to ask in my shows, who's your ideal client? But I guess do you want to tell anybody what niches you're going after to see if they're in there? I mean,
Oh,
what's,
then other people might reproduce it. Yeah, I've scratched. I found the gold. But I mean, still building it out. It's work. With every website, you got to do a lot of work to get it to rank on Google. And sometimes our websites fail, and no one ever hears about that. We launched one website, and it's been live for 2.5 years and just barely gets any phone calls. But the good news is a client didn't lose money on that, because we can only sell the results, the phone calls, the leads, or sometimes the emails, contact form inquiries, but they're good leads. I mean, these are real websites right in your city, ranking on Google. So yeah, I mean, I guess to ask, who's my ideal client? We don't have any. We're launching a partner program. So if this sounds interesting to you and you can provide us with content or backlinks on websites, just Google Handshakin Pilot Partnership Program, and maybe we can partner up on a website. If you want advice, I'm happy to give advice.
and so how would people connect to you through the partnership program? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
they can just Google Matt Handshakin Holmes, and they'll find our blog, and we talk about a lot of these strategies on our blog. So you can just Google me, Matt Handshakin Holmes, and wherever you prefer, there will be enough results.
It's just so fascinating because I think about, you have such a different business model. It's even more different than what I see in the things that I've looked at. I see you as a speaker. I see you as someone who's a master connector, and yet your business model is really flipped it to the other end, and becoming a partner would be an interesting proposition, but I'm sure that they have to go through a bit of a vetting process and making sure that they're the right person to work with you. And when we look at strength-based marketing, is I'm all about trying to help people build their business, help it grow. You know, my mastermind groups that I'm forming that are designed around the same sort of thing. And I just think, you know, if you were to try to give some advice to anybody right now, what would you say to the viewer about helping them really grow their business and attract the right people?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two big things I've learned. The first one, maybe they've heard it before, but it really is focus. I mean, that first website that we financed on our own and did all the blogs for, built a Facebook page, Fort Collins Concrete Contractors. Like that's very focused. It's in a city of 130,000 people, only that could only help a certain type of home service provider. Like, of course it worked. There wasn't much competition, but there's more and more all the time. So, you know, focus really helps. And the second thing, actually, I'll just keep it at that. Just stay focused on one thing and don't even listen to the second piece of advice. Your only focus should be being focused.
I love that, because I know that too often when you meet somebody and you say, well, what do you do? And they go, well, you know, I'm a dentist. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a whatever. And I go, there's no attractor factor. You haven't given me anything that says that I help service-based businesses between $1 million and $5 million to increase their revenue by 50% in 8 months using my proprietary program, strength-based marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, like you, Colin, Fort Collins, concrete, I mean, laser. and that's powerful. Wow. Well, this has been an amazing show. Thank you so much, Matt.
This is fun.
And what was the name of that website again, where they would possibly partnership with you?
I think if you Google Handshakin pilot partnership program, we're just starting to test it out. We only have 4 partners this year, and next year we might only do 4, maybe 8. So
good. That's good. It'd be interesting to see, you know, who you've been attracting and how that's been developing. And I hope you'll be back on the show and tell us more about that program and really how people can benefit more from what you're doing. If you have a blog, so, you know, connect to that. You are very active on YouTube. Your channel has lots of videos out there, but on very different things. But it'd be interesting I'll be following you, Matt. I appreciate that. And with that, folks, this is Strength Based Marketing. I'm Pat Dewar, and we'll see you next time.